Hi everyone, it's Marissa here from Rise High, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to pop into Turner Real Estate. I'm with my good friend here, Lachlan Turner, who is the Managing Director of Turner Real Estate, and today we wanted to give you an update on the property market because obviously the last few months have been quite crazy, and we have found that in many cities in Australia there has been an impact, a negative impact on the property values, but it's been a different story in Adelaide, hasn't it? So I thought I'd come and see Lachlan and find out a bit more about it. How have you been finding the property market, and what are the statistics showing about where we're at in Adelaide?
Yeah, thank you. A surprise, really. I think when COVID hit, it was, and I think right across Australia, people were expecting prices to soften a fair bit, but they just really haven't. They've been holding up well. South Australia, in particular, would be one of the main cities that has held up more than most. In fact, I think it's gone up 0.7% or something since March. And in fact, in the last stats in July, it was South Australia and the ACT were the only two capital cities that actually went up in value. Now, Adelaide only went up 0.1%, I think Canberra 0.4 or something, but all of the rest of the capital cities went down. So I guess that's wonderful news, but even if you look at Sydney and Melbourne, they haven't really gone down that much. I mean, Melbourne's only 2%, Sydney's about the same, but Sydney's also coming off a 12% rise for the year. So like they've still got massive gains and they haven't lost many of those either. So it's holding up really well. I think if I just say quickly that Adelaide in particular is holding its values because, and like this is very psychological and quite deep in a way, but a lot of people are looking at Adelaide and South Australia as a wonderful place to live. I think it's always been on the radar, but it's been accentuated through the virus. And I think people are saying we just like the openness. The cities are, aren't as busy. They don't have a whole lot of high-rise living. It's not as dense. And hey, maybe South Australia is a pretty good place to be.
And I think that's 100%. But I also think that people are looking at Adelaide as a really great place to invest as well. Because we've got great rental returns, low vacancy rates, and our property market is stable. And I think when people are in times of crisis, they're looking for stability and cash flow, and the Adelaide market can offer them both. So
yeah, well, certainly with the properties that we manage, and we manage up around the 3,000 mark now, right across Metro Adelaide. So we've got a pretty good insight into how that's going, and certainly we're getting lots of applications for all properties. Some of them are being, we're thinking, based on a comparison, it might be at a particular level, but we're getting like 6 applications and often above that level. So we're not seeing that for all properties, but it's happening often, and certainly it really isn't an issue finding a tenant at the moment. Well, maybe you're going to ask me this about the market in general, and I can talk about different types of property as well.
Yeah, that'd be great if we can have a chat about different types of property.
Yeah, so people often ask me, Lockie, what's happening in the market? Well, it really depends on the type of property that you might own or that you are looking to invest. Unfortunately, in the city of Adelaide, with more high-rise apartments, particularly, ones that are sort of off the plan or a bit more common, there is a very large supply of those, and there's plenty of options around. So the vacancy rate in Adelaide's, I think, just gone over 6%.
Oh, wow.
And they're also harder to sell as well. There's a bit of a downside in international
investors,
students and investors, which isn't helping that either. So look, that would be probably the worst part of it.
So steer clear of high rise in the CBD.
Well, I think unfortunately just at the moment in terms of vacancy and probably the capital values, they just soften just a little bit for the time being. But look, we are still getting them let, but you've just got to be really, really accurate with your pricing, because there's lots of other properties available. Unless you're sort of at that lower end, well then you're not going to attract what tenants are out there. I think sort of on a super positive note though are houses, particularly freestanding houses in good areas, 5 to 7 k's of CBD, and I must admit many areas past that. But particularly on a bit of land, say 400 or 500 square metres upwards, freestanding, a Torrens title home, and particularly if it's got a bit of character or something in a family home, then they're just going crazy. Josh and I, a colleague, just sold one in Leabrook last week. We had 50 groups through in half an hour. And that sold within a week, and we had about 6 offers on that. So, like that's the sort of interest and inquiry and buyers you get in a boom market.
We're definitely seeing the same thing from the finance side, where our clients are telling us that whether they're trying to find a place to rent because they're building, or whether they're trying to find a place to buy, it's really competitive at the moment. And I don't know about you, Lachie, but I'm feeling really positive about the future of the Adelaide market and where the Adelaide market's going. I know we've been flat for a while, or we've just sort of ticked along slow and steady for a while, but it just feels like things are going to be really good for the Adelaide market moving forward. Do you have that same feeling, or what's your feeling about the future of the Adelaide market?
Yeah, we certainly feel the same way, and I think that's heightened by the fact, or underpinned by the fact, that it is just a lifestyle city. And I think a lot of people are just going to think about the way they live and what it means to be in a big city and chase the bigger dollar perhaps, and just think more about lifestyle and the way they spend their time. So I think Adelaide's really, really well placed for that. And if we look at history with South Australia, it doesn't have the highs of the Sydney market in particular and the Melbourne market, but it's just steady. Yep. I think the average rate of return or growth in South Australia historically is at 4%, so that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're all going well. I mean, we've got our family business here. We've got 55 staff. We manage all those properties, and we invest heavily in South Australia. We're an old South Australian family, so we just feel so thankful that we're in a state that's managing COVID well.
Absolutely.
And I think it is well placed in a lifestyle sense and affordability. And we deal with buyer agents as well, a lot of them from Melbourne, and they're just buying properties for their clients here in Adelaide, and they have been for the last 3 or 4 years, and they still continue to do that.
So lots of good news for the Adelaide property market. We've handled the last few months really well, and more positive news to come. So if you do want to have any information on either your own home, or if you're looking for a property to purchase, then definitely come and speak to us at Rise High or our friends at Turner Real Estate. We'd love to help you out achieve your goals and dreams. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.